Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is April 1st, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 49. I think it is 49. Yes, 49, volume 49 of me answering your immigration related questions and comments. As you can see, I have all of them pulled up here. Before we begin though, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in my videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and of course the Department of State. So without further ado, let's start with the very first question from Muhammad Saiduddin. And I'm very sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. Hi, can you please tell me how much time it will take for the F4 category filing date of May 18, 2016, country India? Mohammed, thank you for your question. Let's take a look. We're going to refer to the visa bulletin. This is the most recent visa bulletin from April 2023. It just came out a few days ago. So let's take a look. We know that our priority dates, which is this graph B right here, is in May 2016, and it's F4 category, which is brothers and sisters of adult US citizens, which is the fourth priority category, which unfortunately takes the longest. So we also know that the case is from India, beneficiary is in India, so India has their own separate chargeability area. So we will be looking at this column right here for India F4. So as it seems, as of April 2023, as of right now, the immigrant visas are becoming available for people who have filed their I-130 petitions back in February 2006. Which looks like between your priority date and what is being available, what is becoming available now, the priority date is 10 years. So a very, very rough estimate, but about 10 more years of waiting for this immigrant visa to become available for your case. Now, I don't know, if you want, you can follow up with a comment. Just submit a separate comment. Do not respond to my comment here, which I'm going to post here. I'll say that I responded to this. If you want, you can add if the beneficiary was already documentarily qualified or not. But for the most part, it's still a very long time. It's still a very, very long time and a rough estimate too. That's what I really want you to understand. And I completely understand your waiting is not easy, and I personally can relate because I am myself waiting for an immigrant visa to become available also in F4 category, and those, they take forever. They take ridiculously long time. Unfortunately, all we can hope for is that this process speeds up. Maybe 1 year Congress will finally decide to raise the cap, because that's what we're dealing with. Basically, there's more applications that are coming in than the available immigrant visas in that particular category. And so we have accumulated backlog. All these years that people are waiting is from the backlog from previous years. So the only really thing that I can wish you is some patience. You're staying on top of your case, you're checking on it. I will be making every month the new visa bulletin comes out. I will be making a separate video dedicated to the new visa bulletin, just discussing the dates and comparing it to the previous months. So if you want to see that, if you want to stay updated, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Alright, let's move on to the next one from Mercy Asari. My son is still pending for interview date in Ghana since December 2021. When can he get interview date? Okay, Mercy, that's a good question. The thing is, whenever it comes to the interview, I'm assuming he's already documentarily qualified with NVC and everything is good, right? That's why you're waiting for an interview. So if that's the case, if let's see, pending interview date since December 2021, if you can let me know again in a follow-up comment, just make sure to submit a separate comment. Don't respond to my comment within your comment. If it's the date documentarily qualified, or is it a priority date? Because that way I'll be able to take a look at the visa bulletin and give you a little bit better details. Also, whenever it comes to your son, is he under 21 or over 21? Is he married or unmarried? If I have these details, I would be able to give you a little bit more information. But here's the thing, a lot of people are waiting for the interviews to be scheduled now. A lot of people who have been documentarily qualified NVC is all complete. They are just waiting. And the reason for that is because we had that artificial backlog. Not the backlog because of the unavailability, the cap on the immigrant visas, but because we had a year and a half, 2 years of that time during the pandemic where none of the immigrant visas, none of the interviews were scheduled. So all the people that were waiting before the pandemic, they are now just now finally being processed. So that's why the new people whose documents were already reviewed and accepted by NVC, and they are supposed to be scheduled the interview, they are waiting now in line for that interview to be scheduled. So that might be associated with your son's situation, but again, if you can provide additional details, I possibly would be able to give you a little bit more, a little bit better answer, a little bit more details. All right, let's move on to the next one from Lola Ali. When you applied I-130 for spouse as green card holder, then you become a U.S. citizen, is that affecting the petitioner priority date? Okay, so the priority date stays the same, but yes, it does affect it. It shortens the period that you have to wait. As long as it's updated with USCIS, depending on at which part of the process, at which step of the process, the status of the petitioner changed from LPR to U.S. citizen. If it happened during the processing in USCIS, request was submitted with USCIS, they updated, good. If it was already at NVC, then obviously you update with NVC. I applied 10/10/2022 and USCIS given 11 months for the process, then 01/10/2023. I became a US citizen, congratulations, and I upgraded, unfortunately, okay, so it's already upgraded. Unfortunately, the process time, which has 7 months, March 2023, till the decision is made, has changed to 9 months instead, to decrease to 6 months. How this happened? Okay, great question, Lola. I'm really glad you brought this up. Basically, this, I don't know, I guess USCIS as of literally a week, because this I have been receiving comments like this, I would say like past week, maybe past like 5, maybe even 4 days. People asking why they times changed, their processing times with USCIS. So I'm assuming that your case is still with USCIS. The reason for that, I am assuming, not 100%, because I'm not an employee for USCIS or anything like that. That would be something internal. Someone who works within USCIS, they would know information like this. But I'm assuming they are finally now updating those processing dates that have been due for an update for a while now. And I'm talking about at least a year back, with the whole dead time again associated with the pandemic. So that's why you see a change, and it's good and it's not very pleasant at the same time. Obviously, it's not very pleasant because you have extra time to wait, but on the good side is that they actually updated your status. So instead of being processed longer as LPR, they did update it to the petitioner as a U.S. citizen petitioning for the beneficiary, for I don't know who you're, for spouse. Okay, so for spouse, so it's going to be CR1. So now it is in CR1, changing from F to A, which is great. First of all, you're not going to be dealing with any of the visa caps. So visa bulletin no longer applies to you. Once your petition is approved by USCIS, the immigrant visa is already available for your spouse. So it's just a matter of basically, getting approval from USCIS, getting documentarily qualified with NVC, and then going through the medical examination and the interview. Yes, it will take some time, absolutely, and in fact you have now some extra few months that you have to wait for, which you didn't have seemingly before, or you were not supposed to have with an update of the category. But because USCIS added pretty much on all of them, or a lot of the petitions, if you look at, they had the processing times bumped up as of recently. So again, it's not very pleasant. It's easy. It's not easy for me to say be patient. Honestly, if I'm completely honest, it's not easy for me to say to anyone, oh yeah, just be patient, because I understand myself. I have the petition and I don't want to be patient. It doesn't feel good. But we still, have the opportunity to look at the brighter side of things, at least things are moving along. Kind of like with the visa bulletin, you know, we've seen for F2A just recently, as a few days ago, that the current processing, which the priority graph B priority dates still show current, but the documentarily qualified dates are now updated and they're not showing current. They're showing about 2.5 years of delay, which again is not very pleasant to find out, but at the same time, at least we're not in the dark, and now a lot of people who are waiting for the interviews to be scheduled, they see exactly why it's not being scheduled just yet. So I'm gonna post this and we're gonna move on to the next comment from Kiki Johannes. Hi, thank you for replying my question and giving clear explanation. I've sent the link to my fiance so he can watch it too. Thank you, Kiki. I appreciate your response and I'm glad this was helpful. Moving further to ya boy Martin. Man, you made this so clear. You're amazing. I feel super reassured. You're not at all. But thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'm really glad that my answers actually are helpful. That means everything to me. All right, let's move on to the next one from Simone Williams. Okay, thanks very much for your answer. You're very welcome, and I understand it perfectly. What I didn't mention is that even though I didn't get a welcome letter asking to upload any documents, I got my case and invoice numbers, so I log into CAC, but no message there yet. As yet, I see. Okay, got it. So you actually do have the login to the portal, but you don't have the actual, you know, all the stuff that comes out in the portal with the documents and paying the fees and applications, and yeah, it's a lot of stuff. But thank you, Simone, for following up. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving further to Sarah Cargbo. I have been waiting for 8 years now. I am so, or what is going to happen? Oh, you're commented on asylum case status. Sarah, I'm very sorry you're going through this. And there's a lot of stuff that is very, very unfair whenever it comes to, you know, immigration process in general. And this is probably one of the most unfair, the situation that Sarah is in. So in this video, I was talking about the basically the unfair procedure that has recently been implemented by the Department of Homeland Security whenever it comes to the asylum cases, processing of the asylum cases. And as some of you know, and in the example of Sarah, there are a lot of people who have been waiting for years without being scheduled the interview. Like Sarah, she's been waiting for 8 years. 8 years. Now, I've heard of 5 years. The longest I've heard was 7 years. This is so far the longest one I ever heard. 8 years is crazy. So for 8 years, you are in pending asylum category. You can apply every year or 2 years for the new employment authorization document. You can work, but you are basically in this limbo. You can technically travel if you apply for a refugee travel document, but it's not free, it costs money, and at the same time, it's not recommended. If you ask any attorney out there, or if you browse through the forums, whatever it is, wherever you're getting your information, you will see people saying, it's not recommended to travel outside of the United States with the pending asylum status. So it's not a very pleasant status to be in, because you're basically in a limbo. And not only that, you also don't know whether you're going to be approved or not approved. And think about this. You know, for Sarah, for example, let's say they will call her today for an interview, and she goes tomorrow for an interview. It's been 8 years since she submitted her application. All right. Can you imagine dealing with stuff, with the documents, with the applications from 8 years back, especially with something as important as asylum? It's completely ridiculous. And the reason why it is so unfair is that as of recently, the applications for asylum and withholding of removal that are being submitted as of like about maybe 6 months, maybe a year ago, just a recent, because this decision was made pretty recently. Those interviews are scheduled within 2 weeks. So the people who have been waiting, not waiting at all, they are getting the priority. And a lot of those people are those that cross the border, all right, illegally. And the people who have been waiting for years to have that interview scheduled, their cases are placed on the top shelf somewhere, or bottom shelf. I don't know where they're placed, but they're not reviewed at all. Somehow in somebody's head, which absolutely does not work at all. If you ask my opinion, it's completely dumb decision. Who came up with it is an idiot. In somebody's head, it was okay to say that, oh yeah, we have this hundreds of people, thousands of people that are waiting for their interviews. We're gonna put them away and leave them waiting, but these new people that apply for the same thing, same exact asylum application for asylum, withholding of removal, I-589, they will have their interview scheduled within 2 weeks and being processed, and then they approved, not approved, whatever. It really, at the end of the day, it becomes like, okay, you know what? I even don't care about what the decision is going to be. I just want this to be processed so I know what am I getting. So Sarah, I'm very sorry you're dealing through this. This is unfortunately, your case is an example of idiotic bureaucracy. The system that is it corrupts itself. It was already bad and it's only becoming worse and worse and worse. Why? Because we have people who are in Congress that have absolutely no idea what they're doing, what they're talking about. And believe me, sometimes I get comments from people like this on this channel too. People that think that they know immigration by watching CNN or by watching MSNBC, and they come to this channel and they talk about the immigration system. I usually block those people because I don't need, because we, as immigrant, myself as an immigrant, and people who are watching my videos that are on this channel, immigrants, they are dealing with the process. They are, submitting the documents, going through the interviews, going through the background checks, going through the court hearings. All right, it's it's no joke process. So they don't need on top of that some idiot who thinks that he or she knows what they're talking about, then discouraging the people that are actually familiar with this process and who are actually going through the process. So I'm very sorry you're going through this, Sarah, and I can't help it but to go on a rant like this, because I understand you completely. I've been in this situation, I've been through this, and I know exactly how it feels. I know exactly how it feels when the system is not fair to you and you have to deal with this. I really don't know what to recommend to you, Sarah. The only thing I can say is just, I pray for you, wish you some patience, and I really hope that interview will finally come and they schedule it finally. All right, let's move on to the next comment from Pranvira Dean, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the names. Hi, it has been 7 years since I made my son's cards for the USA. I have made the other papers and the payments since 1 year. But the date of the interview is not coming. I please you so much. When will the date of the interview coming? My son is unmarried. Please help me. Okay, so if your son is unmarried and you have been waiting for 7 years and then 1 year, I'm assuming that you're talking about being documentarily qualified. So your priority date is 7 years back and you have been documentarily qualified for 1 year now. Your beneficiary, that is. And if your son is unmarried, I am assuming he has to be over 21. Because if he was under 21, then he wouldn't fall within the visa bulletin at all, because whenever it comes to whether it's, if he's under 21 unmarried, then there is no visa cap basically on that category. But I will ask you, however, for a follow-up comment, if you can provide a separate comment. Let me know what your status is. Are you a legal permanent resident or a US citizen? Because that would help me a little bit better to determine this. But let's take a look at the visa bulletin, and I'll try to kind of estimate which category your son is in. So he's unmarried, so he's either F1, let's see, unmarried. So it would be either F1 priority. No, but that's over 21. Well, yeah, he should be over 21 because he's waiting for so long and you're waiting for so long. So he definitely should be over 21. So I would say either priority 1 category or unmarried sons and daughters 21 years of age of older. So depending whether you are a US citizen or a permanent resident, your son is going to be in either F1 category or F2B category. So if we look at the priority dates for filing, graph B, this is what it shows. Let's see, F2B and then F1, two priority categories. So F1 is from August 2016 they're processing. The immigrant visas are becoming available now in April 2023 from August 2016, and for F2B is January 17. So pretty much no difference between the two, pretty much exactly the same thing. So let's see, 2017, 2016, my math is not very good, but it's about 7 years back. So we have about 7 years of backlog on the availability of the immigrant visas for these two categories. And you said that you have been waiting for 7 years as well, and you're already documentarily qualified. I think you should have that interview scheduled anytime now, Pranvira, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It should be scheduled very, very soon. I think the immigrant visa should already be available. If it already isn't available, I think it might already be available. Most likely it is already available for your son, and the only thing that's just waiting is for the interview to be scheduled with the US Embassy. We did have quite some delays because of the artificial backlog. That's what I personally like to call it, artificial backlog, because it's not the backlog that we got from over the more applications than available immigrant visas, but from the closures that US government and governments around the world, they themselves decided to do. We'll just close everything and that's it because of the flu, but whatever, I'm not gonna get into this, but it should be anytime now, because you've been waiting already for pretty much the time as shown in the visa bulletin. And as you can see here, it's about 7 years for either of the categories, whether it's priority 1 or priority 2B. So I hope my answer is helpful. If you want, like I said, you can provide additional details of your status, and I will be able to give you a little bit more information regarding this. All right, let's move on to the next one from Joanna Gonzalez. How to send fee for I-130 petition online, and do I need to send form G-1450 online and form to request to send email or text message on status as well online? Where would they go into online with cover letter? Great question, Joanna. Thank you very much for asking, and thank you for watching these videos on this channel. So whenever it comes to payment, I-130, excellent question. I get a lot of this about the online applications. Once you're done with your application itself, right? Once you're done all the informational stuff where you fill out your information, your address, petitioner's information, beneficiary's information, you will have an option to upload all the documents. That's where you will be uploading all the documents like birth certificate, marriage certificate, whatever it is that they're asking for your particular I-130, depending on which categories you're applying to, depending on which category your beneficiary is in. Once you're done with that, once you're done uploading the initial evidence, you will have an option to pay it online with a debit card, credit card. So no worries about that. Once the application is complete, you will have that option to pay for it. Now, once you pay it, it will be automatically submitted. So that's why I recommend filling out applications online, because it makes it much faster for processing, because applications ends up at USCIS much quicker. Now, you don't have to bother with the G1450 form online at all. And whenever it comes to the as a request for the emails, there is already, as a part of I-130, you will see there's a part where you will be entering your email. There will be an option to enter your email. Just make sure you enter the email over there, and you will be notified by that email whenever your case is approved by USCIS and whenever it's transferred to NVC, and obviously getting all the emails from NVC. Just make sure that you check on the spam folder, because I personally know that from my own experience, actually all the NVC emails that I got were always going to spam for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe my just Yahoo account is not very good, but yeah, that's the case. Whenever it comes to the cover letter, so you do have a couple of options. As an application, I'm not sure. I don't think I-130 actually needs a cover letter at all. But if you do need a supplemental page, you do have an option for supplemental information as part of the online application as well, or you have another option. You can submit your cover letter. That is assuming if you need to. Because as part of I-130, technically you really don't need to submit any cover letters. But if you have some kind of information that you would like to share, this is usually the case. If you're planning to submit a cover letter, this is usually the case. You can add it in additional documents once you complete the application and you are on the document upload page. So I'm going to post this. Hopefully my answer was helpful, and we're going to move on to the next comment from Swati Sharma. My I-94 expired. I came here on K1 visa and got married within 90 days as per the guidelines. But I haven't applied for a green card yet because I need my husband's last 3 years tax return papers, and we are in process of that. Can you guide how can I extend my I-94 form, as I have to apply for a driver's license and I'm not applicable for that until I have valid I-94 with me? Okay, Swati. So I'm going to ask you before I say something that scares you or anything like this. What is your current status in the United States? If your I-94 expired from the K1 visa that you had, it's not very good news, because now if your I-94 is expired, okay, I don't want to scare you. If your I-94 expired and you have not started an immigration process, if you don't have, some kind of different status going based on the application, based on the petition, it means that you are in the country illegally. It's not the place that you want to be, and it really sounds like it happened, obviously not intentionally, but you definitely don't want your I-94 to expire. Whatever situation is, no matter what, you don't want your I-94 to expire. If you get, if you are 3-4 months closer to the expiration of the I-94, you want to submit that application, that form that you have commented on, the I-539, the application to extend or change non-immigrant status. And that should have been done 3-4 months before the expiration of I-94. Your I-94 is already expired, so my recommendation would be reach out to the immigration attorney. Reach out to an immigration attorney, because most likely you would have to work with an inadmissibility waiver. And inadmissibility waiver, basically, as it's one of the inadmissibility categories, basically overstaying the duration of stay that is listed on I-94. So if you stay longer, you become inadmissible, and whatever application, whatever petition, whatever it is that you're applying, you will have that mark of inadmissibility on it. So you definitely want to have a consultation with an immigration attorney. I would recommend doing it as soon as possible. There are a lot of immigration attorneys who offer free consultation, and I would recommend just doing 3, 4, 5 different consultations with immigration attorneys and see what they say. But it's not a very good situation, Swati. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to, I always in this channel I try to encourage, and but it's not very good to be on the expired status. You don't want that, because if your husband, he submits the I-130 petition, over there will be questions like, hey, when did she come in? Did she ever come in? And of course he will be mentioning. And of course, part of the question is going to be, has she ever, has the spouse ever overstayed the stay in the United States or anything like that? All the yes or no questions. And you don't want to be in the yes. And it seems like that's the case for you. So please, my recommendation, please reach out to an immigration attorney as soon as possible. As soon as possible. All right, let's move on to the, and for everyone who's watching, I'm gonna stress this out again. You see how sometimes Swati here, she did not do it intentionally. She didn't have intent. She technically did everything correct. She got her, fiance visa. She came here. She actually got married, and sometimes what I'm trying to say is sometimes whenever it comes to immigration process, sometimes unknowingly we might put ourselves in place where we don't want to be. That's why it is very, very important to understand the immigration process in general from A to Z. Meaning you come into the country, even before you come into the country, you know exactly which visa you have, what you come into the country, you know exactly which status you have, and how long you can be on that status, and how long before you need to do something about that status. Because in Swati's situation, what she should have done is she should have either extended her stay here, probably not, because she already got married and she had a K1, so she should have had change. She should have changed her status to a K3, which I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to show how to navigate the USCIS website. We're gonna go to all forms, and we're gonna go to 539, which is the application to extend change non-immigrant status, and that's going to be changed. This is going to be legitimate change of status, because we are not extending the status still on the fiancé visa, because it's not applicable for Swati anymore, because she's not a fiancé anymore, she's a wife. All right, so we need to change the status to, and let's see if I can find the list. Change my non-immigrant status. There we go. The list of all the non-immigrant. Of course, let's take a look at the actual form and see if I can find it in here, because I want to show you the status that would work for Swati. And Swati, if you're still watching, and I didn't scare you away with my answer, which I hope I didn't. That's not my intention. I'm not trying to do that, but I also don't want you to be in a bad situation that you don't want to be in. Let's see. So information, full name, US mailing, physical information about you, application type. Okay, extension of stay, my current status, nope, change of status. So new status and effective date of change. Right here, it would be your marriage date, because obviously now you're not a fiancé, you're married. So now you're requesting the change of status to K3, but here, as you can see, you can't, so it's not in here. Let's see if I can just type in K3 and see if it comes up. There we go. K3 non-immigrant visa. Okay, let's see. If you are a US citizen and you filed a Form I-130 petition for your foreign spouse who's abroad, you can blah, blah, blah. This is the first step. Yes. Historical. Okay, for a decision on your Congress sought to resolve this problem by creating K3 K4 non-immigrant visas to shorten the time your family would need to spend apart. However, because USCIS now takes less time to adjudicate the Form I-130, the current need for K3 K4 visas is rare, which perhaps it is rare, but it's not so rare in your case. And K3 visa, basically what I was trying to find you is the definition of the K3 visa. K3 non-immigrant visa is the visa, non-immigrant visa, for the spouse of a US citizen. So your husband submits the petition, I-130, all right, and it's in process. Now you have the whole immigration status. The whole immigration process started, it's going, and while this process is going, so that you can remain in the US legally without overstaying your I-94, your duration of stay, you apply for that K3 non-immigrant visa for a spouse of a US citizen through the change of status using the I-539. Again, because it was already expired, immigration attorney Swati. All right. Let's move on to the next one. I think gonna be the last one for today because it's already over 30 minutes. From Tsunamis Castaneda. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. Blinken, so Secretary Blinken, State Department, increases employment visas, student visas, non-immigrant visas, adjustment of status without interview, and stalled immigrant visas due to visa bulletin halted for a year and a half. After we have double paid the process, the majority of us. F1 visa Cuba. Yep, Tsunamis, 100%, spot on. Just to finish up this video with, unfortunately, again, we're concentrating on negative stuff, but it's part of it. This completely unfair process, completely no consideration for, if you think about one of the most important things, families Families. That's what we're talking about. Whenever it comes to visa bulletin, it's the families. All this is the families. Children of U.S. citizens, spouses and children of permanent residents, children, brothers, sisters of U.S. citizens. All these categories, these are families of U.S. citizens and of legal permanent residents. And think about this, U.S. citizen, naturalized. Because if a U.S. citizen is petitioning for a family member from another country, it's most likely a naturalized U.S. citizen, all right? Which means that it's someone who came here, this country, legally, started the process, did the interviews, did the background checks, did the medical exams, did the court dates, went through all these processes, and now all they want is just reunite with their family. And they're waiting for years. For years and years and years. So this is one of the reasons why I started this channel, is because obviously because I want to help people. I want to help people like Joanna, I want to help people like Swati, whatever the situation is, whether you're just waiting and everything is good, or whether you missed a deadline, or whatever it is, or you have a question about the form. I was there and I didn't have anyone to help me. So now that I've been through all of this and I have the opportunity to help, I feel like it's my responsibility to offer this. And also, of course, to raise the awareness, because like I said, I do get people on this channel who come in here and they think they know what they're talking about because they watch CNN all day or some other dumb news, that fake news, all right? And whatever it is, whether it's Fox News, whether it's CNN, I don't care which side you're on. If you watch news and you think you know what's going on with the immigration process, that's just a joke for the most part. Unfortunately, the people that we have in Congress, for the most part, all they care about is their careers, their paychecks, obviously, and for their benefit. All right, they want to get reelected. That's what they want. So whenever it comes to decisions on important issues like immigration, for example, they care about, will this bring more votes, and not will this reunite more families, unfortunately. And I'm sorry that I'm finishing up this video on kind of a little bit of a sad and serious note, but this is what we deal with, and the more people are aware of this, the better, the faster we can start solving the issues that we experience. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your trust, because when you ask me questions, you trust me that I will give you an answer that has value, and not just some random answer. And I appreciate you, of course, watching. Always appreciate your time. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.